Hi there, I'm J.W. Rinsler, back in the archives at Skywalker Ranch, and I have the great pleasure of being with Steve Gawley and Lauren Peterson. We're both supervisors at the ILM model shop through the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. And we're here right now with one of the more impressive models that you guys worked on. This is from the pod race, which I know broke a lot of ground. What can you guys tell me about this model?
You know, I think one of the things was you weren't going to be able to run this model practically when this was the only connection between the front and the back. It was definitely heading towards CG. You know, this little part right in the front, it was from the Maserati Birdcage, which is a racing car from the 60s. It had these really high wheel wells. And
Was this model used for any shots, or was it purely for reference?
It was actually like a set dressing for this large-scale set that we built. So in the picture, when you see him walking around inside the pod race hangar, that was a miniature.
Right, it's a great shot. Even though Star Wars were big-budget movies, George was so ambitious that you guys still ended up having to do things as economically as possible.
like the pod that C-3PO and R2-D2 escape in.
I'm going to regret this.
We knew that that was only going to be used in one close-up shot and then another one spinning further away. And I made that out of a paint bucket from Standard Brands paint, you know, 2 paint buckets. So that angle of the side walls is, if you take a paint bucket, that's exactly it. So this is the design that was to be originally the Millennium Falcon. Eventually it becomes the prototype for the Princess's ship, the Rebel Blockade Runner. You know, the only thing that's anything like the Millennium Falcon, of course, is the cockpit with that kind of conical kind of thing.
We had just finished this as the Falcon, and Monday morning we got word that we copied some other ship from Space 1999. And that's what motivated us really quickly to come up with the Falcon, which is what Joe Johnston did.
Yeah. If you see the difference between Star Wars and Empire, the ship on Star Wars is much heavier. You know, let's just say it's 150 pounds or something, and it moves like this because the model is cantilevered out like this, and the stepping motors would go, like that.
The big one.
On the big one.
Yeah.
And Empire, he wanted to come up with the thing of going through the field of asteroids. So the decision was to make a much lighter one that was a 2-foot or half the size. When you see Empire, you see it do these flips and turns.
You know, it's funny, we had to build asteroids. We couldn't find one that they liked. We kept trying it, and then we finally established a look at it. And I think Ken Ralston said, hell, it looks like a potato. We'll just put some potatoes in. So they shot.
Ones from the very distance.
Ones from the very distance were actual potatoes.
All right, so we were just talking about Return of the Jedi, and then, 15 years or so later, George decided to do 3 more Star Wars movies, the first of which was Episode 1, and C-3PO kind of got the opposite, I guess, of a makeover.
George gave us some drawings of what C-3PO would look like, and that's how we started. And we had some functioning brain things happening here with lights.
I had found a gyro from a missile, and somebody came by my desk and said, hey, can we borrow that? And it was inside of his brain for a while. They reproduced it in lighter plastic because it was too heavy. But inside of there is a reproduction of that gyroscope from a missile.
It was kind of cool for close-ups. You could see things working inside his head, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, they motorized it and everything.
And this actually is a full-size puppet.
I just want to thank you guys for coming along and talking about this glorious time that was the model shop from
It was a pleasurable time, and it's a pleasurable to talk about it anyway, anytime, anytime, really.